evening, and good to have you join us on Dateline tonight. On Dateline tonight, we have so much for your Sunday evening relaxation, but first, the news segment. My name is Princess Modi. All public and private primary and secondary schools in the state have been directed to resume tomorrow, April 2022, for the commencement of the third term academic activities. A statement signed by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Mr. Augustine Ogoro, on behalf of the Commissioner for Primary Education, Dr. Kingsley Ashibogu, and his counterpart in charge of secondary education, Mrs. Rose Ezewu, says the resumption is for the ongoing 2023-2024 academic session. The statement said boarders will resume today, April 21, while classes will begin tomorrow, after the cleaning of the classrooms by the learners under the supervision of their teachers. It reminded the students to be more dedicated to their studies as it was a promotion term. The statement urged parents and guardians to prepare their children and wards for resumption, while also calling on teachers to be at their duty posts on the resumption date and carry out their duties. It added that the two education commissioners and the permanent secretary would monitor the level of teachers' compliance with the school resumption. Governor Sheriff Oberewari will continue to work with the military high command and stakeholders to restore peaceful coexistence between Okwama in Ughelli South local government area and its neighboring communities. Executive Assistant on Orientation and Communications to the Governor, Dr. Fred Ogenesiwe, who gave the assurance today while speaking as a guest on a TV program, said the Okwama community would continue to attract the governor's attention until peace and normalcy in socioeconomic activities was restored. He said the governor's visit to Okwama yesterday was a clear demonstration of his unwavering commitment to ensuring that due process was followed in the unraveling of the remote and immediate causes of the horrific killing of 4 officers and 13 soldiers, as well as in fast-tracking the return of fleeing innocent people from their community. Dr. Kenesiwe corroborated the claim of the military on why Governor Oberewari could not immediately visit the community after the incident took place, explaining that visiting scenes of crime required due process so as to ensure that critical evidence were obtained in the course of investigation. The executive assistant assured the people that Governor Oberewari, as the chief security officer of the state, would always be fair to all concerned, especially in peace and conflict resolution matters, adding that the state government and the military were ready to win the needful to bring back fleeing innocent people to Okwama community. He said at the appropriate time, the governor will look into the infrastructure and socioeconomic needs of Okwama community as a result of the unfortunate incident. The Commissioner in the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Community Support Services, and Girl-Child Development, Ms. Orode Udanga, has approved the commencement of applications from artisans for the 2024 Delta State Government More Grant Scheme, which is specifically tailored to artisans aged 21 to 50. The target group comprises those with skills in tiling, vulcanizing, plumbing, carpentry, welding, electrical works, or other manual labor skills. A statement signed by the Director of Public Communications, Mrs. Theresa Oliko, says application forms will be available for collection at the Secretariat of each of the 25 local government areas in the state tomorrow, April 22, and Tuesday, April 23, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. each day. The statement adds that forms are to be collected free of charge with a valid means of identification such as a national identity card, permanent voter card, national driver's license, or international passport. Applicants must also be indigents of Delta State, as well as indigents of the local government area where the form is collected, even as they must also be residents of their local government area of origin. According to the statement, artisans who have benefited previously from any Delta State government grant or intervention program are not qualified to apply. Application forms are to be submitted at the local government secretariat where the form was collected and the closing date is Wednesday, April 24, not later than 3 p.m. President Bola Tinubu will open the African Counter-Terrorism Summit tomorrow in Abuja. This was contained in a statement issued today by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Mr. Ajuri Ngelale. The high-level summit, organized by Nigeria in collaboration with the United Nations Office of Counter-Terrorism, UNOCT, holds tomorrow and next tomorrow. The theme of the summit is strengthening regional cooperation and institution building to address the evolving threat of terrorism. The objective is to enhance multilateral counter-terrorism cooperation and reshape the international community's collective response to terrorism in Africa, emphasizing African-led and African-owned solutions. The summit will bring together heads of state and government, high-level government officials, representatives of international organizations, and members of civil society to review the threat of terrorism on the continent and agree on strategic priorities and measures to address it. The First Lady, Mrs. Remi Tinubu, has said that the acquisition of 2 new high-endurance offshore petrol vessels for the Nigerian Navy will significantly boost maritime security and drive economic prosperity through the blue economy. Mrs. Tinubu stated this at the launch ceremony in Turkey, noting that it was an indicator of the Tinubu administration's commitment to the safety of Nigeria's maritime environment. A statement issued by her spokesperson, Busola Kukoyi, said the First Lady described the acquisition of the high-endurance offshore patrol vessels as another feat in the Tinubu administration's commitment to a more secure maritime environment for the country. She reiterated that with extended endurance and deployment range, the patrol ships will also aid in and other maritime crimes in Nigeria's offshore waters. Mrs. Tinubu commended DISAN for its high-quality shipbuilding capability and expressed optimism that the launch marked the start of greater cooperation between Nigeria and Turkey in areas of defense and economic development. Earlier, the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, expressed optimism that the newly launched vessels would enhance the nation's maritime sector. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, also noted that the commitment of President Bola Tinubu to the welfare of men of the Nigerian Navy and his resolve to provide all that is needed to enhance their job would ultimately result in reduced crimes in the maritime domain. In their remarks, the Deputy Minister of Defense, Sue Alfe, and the Secretary of Defense, Haluk Gorgon, affirmed that there was room for more cooperation with Nigeria, not only in the area of security, but also economic development. The First Lady then performed the age-long tradition of slipping the ship into water. An ad hoc committee of the Senate investigating the turnaround maintenance of Nigeria's refineries has said the Port Harcourt refinery will begin operation before the end of December this year. The Rivers State Governor, Mr. Siminalayi Fubara, said his administration was working in line with President Bola Tinubu's federal government's policies designed to make life better for Nigerians through the renewed hope agenda. In his presentation, when the members of the committee visited the Port Harcourt refinery yesterday, the chairman of the committee, Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, said they had visited the Warri refinery on Thursday, stressing that they were in Port Harcourt to ascertain the job done and assess the level of preparedness of both the old and new Port Harcourt refineries to recommence operations. He recalled that the old Port Harcourt refinery was the first refinery in the country and was built in 1965, while the second was in 1989. The governor said the Senate had reached a resolution to ensure that refineries in the country commenced operations in line with the renewed hope agenda of the president. Speaking when the committee paid him a courtesy visit, Governor Fubara noted that the Woji Aleto Alese refinery road, which is 70% completed, was being constructed to provide a bypass for easy access to the Port Harcourt refinery and ease traffic on the east-west road. Meanwhile, In a statement issued in Port Harcourt yesterday by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Mr. Nelson Chukwudi, Governor Fubara said the purpose of governance was to make life easy and meaningful for the people. He expressed the light that the Senate Committee's investigation will make life easy and meaningful for Nigerians. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, SAN, said a functional aviation system in Nigeria will push demand for the Naira in Africa. Mr. Keyamo stated this while speaking to journalists during the week. He said airline maintenance, repair, and overhaul, among others, were the issues affecting Nigeria's aviation industry. The senior advocate, however, said the federal government will come hard on people who obtained licenses to operate private flights but illegally commenced commercial flights. The minister said the private jets operating commercial contribute to the huge loss of revenue to the federal government, noting that they get licenses for private operations but do 5 to 8 commercial flights daily. This, the minister described as economic sabotage that will not be tolerated, pointing out that they will face the wrath of the law no matter the persons involved. Speaking on piloting the aviation industry, Mr. Keyamo said it was an exciting experience for him and thanked President Tinubu for the vision and privilege to serve. Kogi State Governor Mr. Usman Ododo has called on the federal government to urgently assist in tackling the menace of insecurity and incessant flooding in parts of the state. The governor made the call when he received a delegation of the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission, RMAFC, at the Government House, Lokoja. Mr. Ododo said Kogi, as a transit state that bordered 10 other states, was in dire need of improved financial intervention from the federal government to address challenges of insecurity and flooding. He said, as a gateway to both northern and southern parts of the country, Kogi State should be a safe haven for all travelers, hence the need for improved security. The governor revealed that the menace of insecurity and flooding in Kogi could impact other states bordering it if left unaddressed. Responding, the leader of the delegation from the commission, Mr. Bako Shetima, explained that the team was in Kogi to verify the justification for the disbursement of the stabilization fund, given the state government's request. Mr. Shetima promised to look into the issues presented to the commission to address them. The governor later took the RMAFC delegation on a tour of some ongoing projects in the state. Some of the projects inspected include the 99 km Zone 8 Zango GYB Road, 55 km Zone 8 Crusher Road, and the refurbishment workshop at the Kogi State Agricultural Development Project Complex in Felele, among others. The Kwara State government has appealed to members of the public to be calm over the alleged sale of poisonous meat at the Mandate Market, Ilori, the state capital. The government's appeal followed the reported death of 33 cows as a result of poison. A group tagged Kwara Monitoring Group, KMG, in an unsigned statement issued today, called the attention of the Commissioners for Environment and Health, as well as the Kwara Environmental Protection Agency, asking for an immediate action to prevent the poisoned meat from being sold to unsuspecting public. The group said over 33 cows were suspected to be poisoned and died immediately, but surprisingly, the dead animals were slaughtered and distributed out to butchers to be sold. The group said it happened along Atere Road, right inside College of Arabic and Islamic Studies in Lorry, urging the concerned ministry and agency to take appropriate action, as nobody knew whose family the poisoned meat would be sold out to in the market. Meanwhile, a government house statement jointly signed by the Commissioners for Health and Agriculture, Dr. Amina El Imam and Toyosi Thomas Adebayo, noted the Kwara government team had gone to the Mandate Market and confiscated suspected poisoned meat. The statement added that Kwara State government officials and experts arrived at the Mandate Market in a lorry to activate measures to protect the public amid rumors of poisoned cow meat. The government has immediately confiscated all the suspected meats for laboratory tests and confirmation of claims after initial engagements with the mandated market stakeholders and urged members of the public to be calm while the team established the truth about the poisoned meat. It also commended leadership of the market for their cooperation so far. The Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has urged Nigeria's 36 state governors and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, to provide the organization with documents on the spending of trillions of FARC allocations received by them since 1999 and to widely publish such documents. SERAP also urged them to invite the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to jointly track and monitor the spending of FARC allocations by the states and the FCT, and to probe any allegations of corruption linked to the allocations. SERAP's request follow reports that the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC, disbursed 1.123 trillion naira to the federal, state, and local governments for March 2024, while states collected 398.689 billion naira. In the Freedom of Information FOI request dated 20th April 2024 and signed by SERAP Deputy Director Mr. Kolawole Oluwadare, the organization said Nigerians ought to know how public funds, including FARC allocations, were spent. According to SERAP, trillions of FARC allocations received by Nigeria's 36 states and the FCT have already gone down the drain. It added that the document should include the evidence and list of specific projects completed with the FARC allocations collected, the allocations of any such projects, and completion reports of the projects. SERAP said that document should also include details of the salaries and pensions paid from the FARC allocations collected, as well as the details of projects executed on hospitals and schools with the FARC allocations. It noted that despite the increased FARC allocations to states and FCT, millions of residents in all the states and the FCT had continued to face extreme poverty and lack of access to basic public amenities, even with the reported removal of petrol subsidy and the flouting of the exchange rate by the federal government, which has translated into increased FARC allocations to states and the FCT. The organization, however, noted that there was no corresponding improvement in the security and welfare of millions of Nigerians, as FARC allocations received by states and the FCT were characterized by mismanagement, diversion of funds, and abandoned projects. According to the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NEITI, the federal, states, and local governments shared 10.143 trillion naira from the Federation account as statutory revenue allocations in 2023, with states collecting 3.585 trillion naira. As part of effort and vision to tap into the Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, a real estate firm of global repute, Frost Rotec Group of Companies Limited, has disclosed that President Bola Tinubu will perform groundbreaking of multi-billion naira Abuja Airport Garden City. The chairman of Frost Rotec Group, Mr. Austin Ogwejofo, stated this after a tour of the site located in Guzo along the popular airport road in Abuja with the Assistant Inspector General of Police, AIG, in charge of Zone 7, Abuja, AIG Adebowale Williams, and other partners. Mr. Ogwejofo explained that the partnership is on the heels of developing a new layout for Abuja Airport Garden City, which will open a new vista in the housing and tourism sectors with the aim of attracting huge businesses and reducing accommodation challenges. According to him, the Abuja Airport Garden City will sit on a 250 hectares of land between the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport and the Abuja Railway Station. Mr. Ogwejofo further stated that the sophisticated facilities of the city would accommodate over 3,000 residents and businesses and commended the federal government for buying into the housing project vision. He added that the Tinubu administration was geared towards people-oriented programs for all-round transformation of lives, assuring investors of quality work and timely delivery. The MD commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for creating an enabling environment in line with his renewed hope agenda for mass housing in the country, beginning from Abuja, the nation's capital city. He said that the project would house about 2,000 to 3,000 residents with all the necessary amenities and facilities such as dual carriageway, street lights, sewage systems, water systems, sustainable electricity, green energy, among others. Meanwhile, the Assistant Inspector General of Police, AIG Adebowale Williams, assured the contracting firm of security of that area. And still to come, Ukraine President welcomes $61 billion support approved by the U.S. House of Representatives. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now the news continues. The global scene is next as we join our world news desk.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky today welcomed the approval of $61 billion in aid for Ukraine by the U.S. House of Representatives, but urged Washington to quickly turn the bill into law and proceed with the actual transfer of weapons, saying long-range arms and air defense systems were top priorities. In an interview with the press, Mr. Zelensky said the passage of the bill would send a powerful message to Russia that Washington stands by Kyiv and that it would not be a second Afghanistan, adding that the support will strengthen the armed forces of Ukraine and will give them a chance for victory, while repeatedly urging the U.S. lawmakers to take a swift action to pass the bill in the Senate. The U.S. House, with broad bipartisan support, passed a $95 billion legislative package providing security assistance to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Aid for Ukraine had been held up for months. Almost 26 months since its 2022 full-scale invasion, Russia said its forces are slowly advancing in eastern Ukraine and have ramped up bombardments of cities and towns behind the front lines amid a slowdown in Western military assistance. The U.S. legislation now proceeded to the Democratic Majority Senate, which passed a similar measure more than 2 months ago. The Senate is set to begin considering the House-passed bill on Tuesday, with some preliminary votes that afternoon. Final passage is expected sometime next week, which would clear the way for President Biden to sign it into law. Ecuadorians began voting today in a referendum and proposed tougher measures to fight gang-related crime. The once peaceful South American country has been grappling with a shocking rise in violence that has seen 2 mayors killed this week. The terrorizing streak has been blamed on gangs with links to transnational cartels using its ports to ship drugs to the United States and Europe. The results of the referendum will define the course and the state policy that will be taken in order to face the challenge of fighting against violence and organized crime. President Daniel Noboa had declared in January a state of internal armed conflict, with about 20 criminal groups blamed for a spasm of violence sparked by the jailbreak of a major drug lord still on the run. Gangsters kidnapped dozens of people, including police and prison guards, opened fire in a TV studio during a live broadcast and threatened random executions in the days-long outburst that caused about 20 deaths. President Noboa imposed a state of emergency and deployed soldiers to retake control of the country's prisons, which had become the nerve center for gang operations and a bloody battleground that has claimed the lives of more than 460 inmates in 3 years, many beheaded or burned alive. Despite these efforts, the violence has persisted, which the president, while seeking popular backing for his plans, aims to clamp down even harder on those responsible for such acts. Citizens are being asked to approve an expansion of military and police powers, significantly boosting gun controls and imposing harsher penalties for terrorism and drug trafficking. President Noboa is also proposing changing the constitution so that Ecuadorians wanted abroad for organized crime-related offenses can be extradited. All U.S. soldiers are set to leave Niger, ending their role in the fight against Islamist insurgents. Military leaders in the West African nation have sought closer ties with Russia since seizing power in a coup last year. Earlier, the U.S. also announced it had agreed to close down its drone base near Agadez in the Sahara Desert. Niger is in Africa's Sahel region, which is considered the new global epicenter of the Islamic State group. The U.S. has relied on Niger as its primary base for monitoring regional jihadist activity. An American delegation is to head within days to Niger's capital, Niamey, to arrange an orderly withdrawal of its more than 1,000 troops.
All right, you're welcome back. Back home and in business, we now join our business news desk for happenings in the business sector.
Is looking forward to receiving around $2.2 billion single-digit interest loan from the World Bank and another budget support facility from the African Development Bank AFDP. Minister of Finance Mr. Wale Edun disclosed this during a press briefing at the end of Nigeria's activities at the World Bank and IMF spring meetings in Washington, D.C., the United States. While speaking on the sources of international funding to the Nigerian economy, the minister listed diaspora remittances, foreign portfolio investments and facilities from the World Bank and other international development partners. Mr. Edu also tapped issuing dollar-denominated securities specifically targeted at Nigerians in the diaspora and those with foreign-denominated savings in Nigeria as another measure to attract forex inflows into the country. He disclosed that the federal government hoped to issue the bonds later this year. The minister further highlighted the efforts of the fiscal side of the economy in complementing the recent monetary policy reforms by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN). According to the minister, the issuing of government securities at an interest rate closer to the CBN's monetary policy rate was an indication of the collaboration between both sides of the economy in tackling inflation in the country and attracting forex inflows. He listed the agricultural sector as one area the Bola Tinubu administration was looking to spur growth in the medium term, listing efforts in that area to include the distribution of fertilizers and seeds to reduce food prices and enhance food security. Other programs, according to the minister, are increasing power generation to about 6,000 megawatts within 6 months, provision of infrastructure, especially housing, with the goal of making low-interest mortgage available to Nigerians, revamping of the social investment program, and proposed economic stabilization plan. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, has stated that the Apex Bank is no longer in firefighting mode and has now switched to strategic planning in its effort to achieve forex stability. The transition comes after 6 months of grappling with numerous economic challenges, including rampant inflation and volatility in the foreign exchange market. He made the remark in a joint press briefing with the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy on the sidelines of the IMF World Bank spring meetings held in Washington, D.C., United States. Governor Cardoso stated that with the attainment of relative stability, particularly in the foreign exchange market, the focus of the CBN is now on enhancing the ease of doing business within Nigeria. The strategic vote is aimed at consolidating the recent gains by fostering an efficient and transparent market system, which in turn is expected to boost financial and economic inclusion for small businesses and households. He said the key initiatives included leveraging technology and remote banking solutions to decrease transaction costs and widen access to financial services. According to him, the measures are part of a broader agenda to create a more resilient and inclusive economic framework, moving away from the emergency measures that previously dominated the central bank's agenda. Governor Cardoso emphasized the need for a sequenced approach to address ongoing and future challenges, ensuring the CBN worked closely with stakeholders such as investors, banks, and businesses.
Away from business now to entertainment. We'll now join our entertainment news desk for happenings in the showbiz world.
Nigerian chess grandmaster Tunde Onakoya has commended his American counterpart, Mr. Sean Martinez, for standing by him throughout the 60-hour duration of his world record-breaking quest. Mr. Martinez, the United States national chess master, stood as Onakoya's opponent for the Guinness World Record feat at Times Square in New York City. The two chess enthusiasts competed for 60 hours, surpassing the target of 58 hours set by the Nigerian to elapse the previous world record. Showing his appreciation in a Twitter post yesterday, Onakoya said his achievement would have been impossible without Martinez's contribution, adding that the two chess heads trumped competition to show the world the meaning of true collaboration. Onakoya hit the 58-hour mark around 2:30 a.m. Nigerian time yesterday to smash the previous record of 56 hours and 9 minutes set in 2018 by Norwegian duo. The Chess in Slum African founder had embarked on the chess quest to raise $1 million for underprivileged African children to access education. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu had congratulated the chess maestro on his world record achievement, describing it as a rare feat, which also displayed the resilience, self-belief, and ingenuity for which Nigerian youths were known.
Shutting down city, I'm living my dreams from Joba to Yankee.
Grammy-nominated singer and music executive David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, has announced that he will be moving his signees to a new record label, 9plus, following a partnership with United Masters to establish the label. Report says the deal will allow Davido spearhead artist development for a lineup of Nigerian artists. Consequently, his former record label, Davido Music Worldwide, DMW, has been dissolved. In a post via his handle, Davido disclosed that all the artists currently signed to DMW would move to 9plus Records. Adewale Emmanuel, also known as Mayokun, has launched a ₦1 billion lawsuit against Precious Kensley, alias Nikki Dababi, a renowned TikTok influencer. Nikki Dababi sparked outrage on social media after accusing Mayokun and Skibil of being ritualist, which tried to exploit her for occultic rites, claiming she fled after an intense prayer. She also discussed how she was recorded at the hospital to depict herself of being on drugs, threatening to entirely shut down her social media account. Responding to the entire situation, Mayokun sued Barbie for making defamatory allegations against his character and reputation. Monarchs and strong legal practitioners prepared a statement on behalf of Mayokun, which asked Barbie to remove the offensive post from all her social media accounts within 24 hours, making a video and write an apology that will be published in 2 national dailies, refrain from making further defamatory comments about him, and pay him at least ₦1 billion for the emotional trauma her actions caused him.
In sports, Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, has commended the team representing Nigeria at the Global Robotics Competition in Dallas, Texas, later this month. The team members aged 15 and below were accompanied by their coaches. Mr. Idris, who gave the commendation when the team paid him a visit, said the government was willing to promote Nigerians who made the country proud. He said he was comforted by the children's ingenuity, comportment, and confidence, and was awed by their inventions, promising to support the team in enjoying a visible outing. Earlier, the leader of the delegation, Abubakar Mohammed, commended the minister for the excellent work he was doing to promote Nigeria. He said Nigerians needed to know that they were being represented at this competition, adding that the children's commitment indicated that the country's future would be great. The team later demonstrated the performance of the robots before the minister. Well, that's a new segment of Dateline. When we go on a short break, when we return, Dateline proper will come on. So you don't want to go anywhere. Just stay with us. Welcome to Dateline. Our first report on Dateline today is on the Ulo Festival of the Olodo Kingdom in Anyocha South Local Government Area, where they have been charged to support the moral agenda of Governor Sheriff Borowori in order to enjoy dividends of democracy. The State Deputy Governor, Samonde Yeme, gave the charge when he visited the Obi of Olodo Kingdom, Ifechukwude Adigwe, during the community's annual Ulo Festival. The report.
Sir Oyeme commended the people of the kingdom for protecting their traditional and cultural endowment from going into extinction. He lauded the Obi of Olodo Kingdom, Ifechukwude Adigwe, for ensuring peace in the community and assured all of the state government's intervention in ensuring that the community benefited in the more agenda of the Borowori administration.
I saw the mood in the community. It's a very joyous one. People are very happy. And I want to say they should continue to be happy with themselves. They should continue to encourage themselves. They should continue to live peacefully with each other. By special grace of God, development will come to this community. Having seen with my eyes, and relate same to all necessary agencies of government. By special grace of God, I repeat, development will come to this place.
The festival, characterized by dance processions by various quarters, converged at the community's town hall where the people paid homage to the traditional ruler. The royal father, speaking on the significance of the festival, explained that it was designed to offer prayers to God for his protection and to seek more blessings in the new planting season, charging the people to continue to promote their cultural heritage while appealing to the state government to intervene in the provision of a good road network and other social amenities to ease the life of the people.
The Ulo Festival was peaceful, so I use the opportunity to thank my people. No casualty and no fight. Let them begin to connect all community roads that is in Delta State. It will enable accessibility of easy movement of the people, and it will bring more development and civilization to the areas.
Speaking in the same vein, the President General of the community, Mr. Jude Alaye, among others, underscored the significance of the festival to the people while pleading for more of government's presence in the kingdom.
We normally celebrate it after brushing the farm. So within the farm period, after brushing, we celebrate the whole festival.
We are farmers, we are fishermen, we are hunters, and we are very industrious. We want the deputy governor to give us road. We want the deputy governor to give us lights. We want to feel that we are at home in Nigeria.
This year's celebration was uniquely symbolic as it afforded the people the opportunity to engage in different cultural activities as they sang and danced around the community. The dance performance by the young and the aged included masquerades was particularly a sight to behold as they danced happily in a fun-filled, convivial atmosphere. The ceremony drew top government functionaries, including the member representing the Undokwa Ukwan Federal constituency in the House of Representatives, Honorable Unamdi Ezechi, and the Deputy Chief of Staff, Government House, Sir Ifeanyi Osakwe, the traditional ruler of Igbudu Aka Kingdom, Obi Solomon Obikole, among others. I am Pere Botu reporting.
Wow, that was a beautiful outing. That's the sights and sounds of the Olo Festival in Olodu, in the Anyocha South local government area of Delta State. Yeah, moving on now. Believers have been admonished to remain faithful to the end in order to receive a good reward from God Almighty. The most senior apostle, Stanley Moameka, of the St. Michael's Healing Cherubim and Seraphim Church, Uzebu Quarters, gave the admonition during an outing service held for the late senior apostle Patrick Longe Oswoza, father to the State Commissioner for Information, Dr. Ifeanyi Oswoza, held at Idumuju Boko, Anyocha North local government area. Henry Unogwa has details.
Apostle Moemeke, in his sermon titled Reward of the Faithful, taken from 2 Kings chapter 2 verses 1 to 4, said no one had ever remained faithful to God Almighty and regretted it. He described the late senior apostle Patrick Longe Oswoza as a dedicated and faithful Christian who devoted his life to the service of God, and likened him to the biblical Elisha who served Elijah faithfully and was rewarded. The cleric enjoined parents to bless their children and wards irrespective of their trespasses, so that the Heavenly Father would perfect their pronouncement on them, while calling on the children of the deceased to sustain their father's legacies.
Elijah is the master of Elisha. Elijah wants to go back to his father because he's a devoted prophet. In fact, many things in land of Jericho, Jeremiah, and the rest of people, if you follow them, we are not going to that one today.
The State Commissioner for Information, Dr. Ifeanyi Oswoza, eulogizing his late father, described him as a great mentor, a prayer warrior, and a man who had always loved and prayed for his children, friends, and relatives, and enjoined his siblings to take solace in the fact that their father left a good legacy.
He was a prayer warrior. He's in love with Christ, so much in love with Christ, and he intercedes on our behalf, the children. He's fully an intercessor for his children, and he loves his children so much.
Some church members in their local dialects paid tribute to the deceased, recalling the role he had played in their lives. The service featured special choral renditions. And a prayer session for the bereaved family. Henry Onogwa reporting.
May Pa Oswoza's gentle life rest in perfect peace. Amen. Now to our thought for the day. Do not compete with anyone Just focus on your journey and keep moving. The load you carry is different from that of others. And that's our new segment of Dateline and Dateline All Together. My name is Princess Modi. Do remember to stay safe and always pray. God answers prayers. Have a blissful night rest. Good evening and join us tomorrow.